Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah. Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
Vinci.
Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shape. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the safe. I was down below the commas. I put dollars on my head like I don't wanna. Yeah, I'm proud of what I did, I'm gonna come up. Yeah, you left me on red, so don't try to run it. Want no smoke, then come in peace. Flow so foreign overseas. Got them praying, they like please. They want cheddar, not no cheese. Undefined, they don't get it, it's amazing. I was down bad in the basement. I would pray to God for a placement. I was never patient, I was always racing. Got me on the drive, that's a flagrant. Little boy, tell me what you chasing. We gotta do better, gotta be clever, gotta love more, that's a statement. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shape. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the safe.
It's silver step, yeah, I was just inside the grave. When I resurrected in like 3 days. Set up on my car that had a sneaker. Somebody take a tenant because we the way. Walk around the house, got drip on anyway. They gon' eat it up like it's a dinner day. Seen a Lambo, claimed it on the interstate. Fame is nothing when it's Jesus in the stage. On the front and silver, it's the game. I feel my calendar, I'm losing track of all the days. Call me water boy and I was giving lemonade. I was sitting on the bench, they had to put me in the game. I be from the data, they said ice is in my veins. Gotta shit up, cause I'll never be ashamed. Pushing on the birthday when I know it's gonna be great. It's still to celebrate you when your family gon' hate.
They just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shape. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out. And I'm back like I never left. They just treating every song like another check. I'm pulling up to every court and I'm calling next. They try to end me, now I'm stopping my foot on their neck. You'll be surprised what they do for attention. God looks into your heart and intentions. I see you judging in all of my mentions. I'm out the grave, I thank God for redemption. Now I'm taking it a step at a time. My future is bright like I turned on the lights. It's crazy how I see them right through the blind. I used to explain how I'm catching these flights. Don't hit my DMs with arrogance. I gotta do it with excellence. I'm reaching the needy, it's evident. And they still in the room with the elephant. Wow. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shape. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the safe. We gon' bring it out the same.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV and another Royal Rebounds podcast with Calvin and Barry. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties tonight. We had some internet issues. We're having some issues keying in the green screen, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna get the stream going.
Kings win. We're excited.
And yeah, we'll get it fixed and resolved here. Want to welcome you all back to the show. Kings dominate the Phoenix Suns. I don't know about dominate, but they defeated the Phoenix Suns tonight. 110-107, a last-minute three-pointer by Harrison Barnes. It was an incredible game, Calvin, but I got one word for you, or actually two words. JaVale McGee.
Yeah, another Shaq and a Fool appearance, perhaps, coming from JaVale McGee.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. Sorry, while we're working on this, let us know in the comments how you're feeling tonight, in the chat, if you had a good time watching the game, if you thought Harrison Barnes was going to make that shot or not. It was a rough one. It was a rough one. Sorry, we're still working on some technical difficulties. You saw Vinny, our master videographer there. But, wow, what an incredible game. Right, Cal? What do you got to say? Come on.
I mean, I think the Kings, I'm not sure what to feel after this game or what to think. maybe because Halloween's around the corner, they were putting on their best Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde impersonation. I was pretty disappointed watching in the first half. The Kings came out really flat. They didn't look engaged at all defensively. The Suns were getting pretty much everything they wanted. They were in the paint all the time. I think it was 16 points in the paint in the first quarter alone for Phoenix. So it didn't look good. And then all of a sudden they came out in the second half, and it's amazing how when you start hitting shots, things start to go better for you. You think it cures a little bit. Buddy Hield came out and just let it fly. He was huge with 26 points off the bench. And then they gave up the lead again in the fourth quarter, but Harrison Barnes comes through in the clutch, continues the all-star season that he's having so far.
How long or how many times are they going to keep giving Buddy Hield the ball late in the game and him try and do something and turn it over? It is so frustrating. I was so angry watching that play. It's like I knew what was going to happen before it happened. And yeah.
Well, that was very frustrating to watch, but there were several other turnovers that he had in this game where there wasn't anybody close to guarding him. It was on the fast break, and he just made a horrible pass. I've seen it, a bunch of times now over the past few games, or I guess 2 to 3 games for the Kings, and it's become a real big problem. I get he had a great night tonight with 26 points, 7 of 11 from 3, but he's not always going to shoot 7 of 11 from 3. Mm-hmm. And if you continue to make these terrible passes, just ill-advised passes, lazy passes they're really hurting. It's time that gets addressed and gets fixed.
Yeah, and you and I had talked about how this Kings team looks a little bit different. They start off fast, they play well in the first half, and then they fall apart. And it was a completely different in this game. I want to look here. I took a picture of this stat that they showed on the screen at halftime. And they said the Kings' defense in the first half of the game, their offensive rating is 112. It's tied for 5th in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive rating 98.7, 6th in the NBA. And their net rating is 5th in the NBA. But then you look at their second half, 102 offensive rating, 19th in the NBA. 128 defensive rating, which is last in the NBA. And net rating, which is last in the NBA. So that just shows this Dr. and Jekyll, Mr. Hyde team that's completely different. And tonight, watching the first half of the game, it was really sloppy. The Kings were not playing well. I told you, I said, the Kings look horrible. And you said, they're only down 2.
Only down 2. It was really amazing.
And we both felt like, well, if they continue to play this way, they're going to get blown out. But then they only let the Phoenix Suns score 15 points in the third quarter. The offense is coming in. Buddy Hield goes crazy and makes a bunch of threes, which reminds me of another topic I want to talk about here in a little bit about Kings offense and who is bringing the offense on this team. But, yeah, it was an incredible game. Then they're up 10 late in the fourth quarter. Everything looked to be good. And then they just started to fall apart then again.
Yeah.
And they got rescued by Harrison Barnes tonight.
They did. They did get rescued. The point you bring up about offense, or rather the style of offense that's being played, who's bringing the offense, like you said, that's a important thing that I think we need to touch on for sure. But, yeah, Harrison Barnes came in clutch. And they really flipped the script. The third quarter, I know everybody probably saw the stat that they put up in the game. They've been outscored by 30 points in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But the third quarter has maybe been even worse, I think, for the Kings. And they really, really played by far the best third quarter of the season. I think they've given up around 35 points in almost every third quarter they've played this year. Today, just 15. That was really, really huge. And, some of it is guys just weren't missing shots or weren't hitting shots for Phoenix, but the defensive energy and effort was much better coming out of the locker room than it was to start the game.
Yep. Fred, I totally agree with you. I don't know how many travels or double dribbles I saw by Devin Booker tonight that were not called. I saw some over the backs that were not called. It's very frustrating watching these officials because I feel like every single game now, the Kings are getting the short end of the stick. And normally you look at it from a referee's perspective and you say it all evens out in the long run. But it seems like the calls have been going against the Kings more often than not over these 4 games.
I'd be willing to say that for anybody watching their favorite team, they feel that way. But, yeah, I mean, the free throws tonight, the Suns shot 9 more than the Kings, which, isn't a ton. The Kings actually shot pretty well from the free throw line tonight, 11 of 15. But, yeah, they still need to get there some more. I think sometimes when they're not playing well on offense, it's just a whole bunch of let's try to force the ball into the basket, try to get a foul called and put up a shot. And while that's good to be aggressive like that, I think you can get carried away a little bit where you're too worried about trying to get the foul called and you're not worried enough about actually trying to put up a good shot.
Yep.
And it kind of spirals into a snowball effect that can really hurt them.
Yep, definitely. McCamey, yeah, Chris Paul had an off night. I don't think Chris Paul was playing tonight. I think we saw Cliff Paul out there tonight. Chris Paul was off with the family or something. Want to welcome you all that are joining us now. We are giving you a sneak peek at the Royal Rebounds studio in our beautiful green screen. Normally we have a logo here, but we're having some technical difficulties. So we are working on that, and we appreciate all of your patience. If you're a Kings fan, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you had a good time watching the game tonight, make sure you hit that like button down below.
That's right.
And if you want Calvin to take a shot at Crown Royal, make sure you hit that like button down below. And while you're down there, join the Royal family, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification cowbell so you find out when Calvin and I put out a new video. We do fun lives like this almost after every single game. Post a ton of other Kings videos. We break down everything Sacramento Kings. And then we have an ESPN type show that we debut every Friday called The Royal Report. It's only on YouTube. It's only on this channel. So make sure you guys check that out. All right, Calvin, I'm going to let you dive here into the box score.
Yeah, so for the Kings, Buddy Hield led all scorers with 26 points off the bench. As we mentioned, he was 7 of 11 from 3 tonight in 27 minutes. Really, really came alive for them and helped spark that comeback their comeback before they gave up their lead and let Phoenix come back. Harrison Barnes was the hero of the day, 22 points. Again, another one game over 20 points, 9 more rebounds, 4 assists, played 39 minutes. He was 10 of 18 from the floor. The guy, he really is doing everything for them right now. He's just played so well so far this year. De'Aaron Fox, 18 points, tough shooting night again, 7 of 20 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. But I liked how Tyrese was a little bit more aggressive tonight offensively. 15
much
points,
more aggressive.
6 of 11 shooting. And, he's also, De'Aaron Fox, if you look online, it says he's the team leader in assists, but Tyrese is actually tied with him at 6.3 assists per game. So that pick and roll offense with primarily Tyrese and Rashawn Holmes has looked really, really good for the Kings this year. I think they should try to use that more and more as the season goes on.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to Rashawn Holmes tonight. I know 12 and 12 doesn't look super special, but that was a huge game for him. He had a huge rebound late in the game.
Yes.
Huge
Pretty
rebound.
much sealed the game with that rebound.
What did we talk about the past few games? Rashawn Holmes was getting in foul trouble early.
Yeah.
Tonight, he didn't have his first foul until like early in the fourth quarter. So, incredible game for Rashawn Holmes. Really, really incredible game. Mo Harkless started again tonight. And no Marvin Bagley. We'll get into that a little bit later here.
No Tristan Thompson.
No Tristan Thompson. And 2 big threes from Alex Len. That was pretty surprising, right?
Yeah, Alex played really, really well tonight. Deandre Ayton is an absolute beast. I've always been a big fan of Deandre Ayton's as a player, and so he's going to be a tough matchup for anyone any night. But Alex really came in and gave him a spark there in the third quarter on offense, hitting those threes. And 10 big points off the bench. So
yep.
The bench altogether, it was mostly Buddy Hield, but 41 points for the Kings bench, and I forget how many here for Phoenix. Not nearly as many, about half.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and then as you mentioned, 26 points for Buddy Hield, 7 of 11 from three-point range, 4 turnovers tonight for Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
And 1 assist. And one of those turnovers almost cost them the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, that one, at least there's somebody right up on him playing some pretty tough defense.
Yeah.
It's still a bad play. It's
Yep.
still a poor decision. But the turnovers I saw in the first half before that, on the fast break, just an ill-advised pass before you even get into any sort of offense.
Yep.
Those are really the terrible ones that he needs to get rid of right now.
A huge game for Deandre Ayton tonight, 21 points and 21 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds for him, 31 points for Devin Booker. Chris Paul, dare I say it, had an off night, only 6 points tonight, 1 of 10 shooting. Is that a Davion Mitchell effect, or is that a Tyrese Haliburton effect?
I'd be interested to see how many minutes he actually spent guarding Chris Paul. I noticed De'Aaron Fox on him a lot. Maurice Harkless was on Devin Booker a lot tonight, so that moved Fox over to Chris Paul, and I think it was a team effort, and maybe they just got lucky that he actually did have an off night and not a Davion Mitchell off night.
Cliff Paul was out there tonight. No Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Then 10 points for Elfrid Payton off the bench. He cut his hair, as you might have seen. He's not hitting the ball anymore on his free throws.
He's
he
had
did
that
a
hair
while
for
ago.
a couple years now, I think.
And then 7 big points off the bench for JaVale McGee. 0-0.
JaVale McGee.
He's wearing that Robert Parrish out there. That's hilarious. All right. So, Calvin, if you were to pick an MVP tonight for your Sacramento Kings, I know you're going to say Harrison Barnes, but if you were to not include that game-winning shot at the end, who would be your MVP?
I'd probably still go with Harrison Barnes, even if he misses that, lose in overtime or win in overtime. I'd still probably pick him. Buddy Hield had, like we mentioned, a big game offensively off the bench, and he really helped pick them up, when they needed it. But Harrison Barnes was consistent all the way through. You add the 9 rebounds. He shot really well from the field. He made shots when they were really struggling on offense in that first quarter. They threw the ball to him a couple times and just said, go get a bucket, and he was able to do that on multiple occasions. So it helped keep them in the game even when they weren't playing very well. So he's my answer. He's been the MVP of the team this season.
Only 6 3-point attempts for Harrison Barnes tonight.
Yeah, he's a little under quota.
I know Alden said he wants 8. Would have been 5 if it wasn't been for that last shot.
Yeah.
Why do you think game flow tonight, or why do you think he didn't hit that number?
I'm not so sure. Maybe he didn't make a couple to get him started right away. His first couple shots from 3 were misses, I believe. So could just be a mental thing of, I'm going to try to get to the mid range and attack that way, because that shot was definitely falling for him early on. But he only missed it by 2, so he's still putting up threes.
Yep.
Just not as many.
Want to apologize to everyone out there. I know we're breaking up a little bit. We are in the ocean, so the internet connection is not as fast.
That we're running on coconut wireless, as they say here.
All right, I want to talk about points in the paint. If you look here at the box score, I know last game we talked about steals and turnovers. Everything here is pretty even, other than the rebounds and the points in the paint.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to show how big of an impact Deandre Ayton has on this game.
For sure.
And JaVale McGee having a footer come off the bench.
And Rashawn Holmes getting in foul trouble and not being able to play as much. So the fact that the Kings have really just committed big time to this smaller lineup. No Marvin Bagley tonight. I was in the first half definitely sitting there watching, saying, Marvin might be able to help a couple rebounds here. He would definitely make they were getting worked, like you said, in the paint there in that first quarter. Having another big body in there might have disrupted something like that. And Tristan Thompson, too, I felt like rebounded. He's got to be one of the best rebounders on the team, right? So it would have made sense to me to play him a little bit, too. I was kind of surprised.
Lane, I already have a Kings tattoo, but it's in a special place where not many people see.
Oh, wow.
All right, so Royal Rebounds TV. All right, so a topic I'm thinking about all week long that I wanted to ask you about DeAndre Ayton.
Yes.
Last Monday, same date as Marvin Bagley, he to sign a contract extension with the Phoenix Suns. It's come out that he wanted a max deal. They didn't think he was worth it. And we hear all this story that the Suns owner and, I don't know, racism and sexual harassment and all this. It seems like this happens every week now.
Yeah.
And then I've also heard some comments that the reason the extension wasn't done is because the owner is cheap. So this makes me think this guy might be a fool. One, do you think DeAndre Ayton would fit this squad? And two, do you think the Kings could offer maybe Richaun Holmes for him? I know it matches salary-wise. The Suns are looking for a more affordable option at the center position. Rashawn's locked up on a really... And the Kings might be willing to pay a guy like DeAndre Ayton to play the center for them.
Well, to be honest with you, it's funny that you asked me this question because I was actually going to ask you, while I was watching this game today in the first half, the Kings are struggling. I kept thinking to myself, would it be beneficial or would it make this team better if they had a band that they could play inside out with? Richaun Holmes is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love him. But he's not a post-up player. You can't throw him the ball on the block and consistently get bucket after bucket after bucket. Would it make sense to have somebody like that in that role so that when they're struggling shooting from outside or to help get them better looks from outside, because you can throw it in, you get the double team, and he passes it for an open three. So to answer your question, do I want DeAndre Ayton? I would love to have him on my team. Absolutely. I think he's a talent for a big man, very unique skill set, really good interior defender as well. And just continue to get better in his career. And do I think that the Kings could offer that deal? Go for it. Maybe if they felt like there was no chance they were going to be able to re-sign DeAndre Ayton, that it's too far gone and he's made up his mind to go somewhere else. You decide to trade him and try to get something in return. And Richaun Holmes had return package, I think. But I also am just not sure the Kings are going to be able to sign him. He's going to get a max deal, I would expect.
Yeah, it's tough. You look at a guy like his game. I wasn't a big fan. I would have rather. I thought that they were going to take Luka Doncic, especially with the hiring of their new coach. Yeah. I thought they were going to take Luka Doncic, but they ended up with DeAndre Ayton. Yep. Kings ended up with Marvin Bagley. Yep. We saw Doncic go later, end up getting traded for Trae Young. Seems like everybody won in that situation except for the Kings.
For all those except Sacramento.
So if you're Sacramento and you are trying to get a guy like Ayton before the trade deadline, you're going to have to do a sign and trade next offseason, which means that you're going to have to throw in a little bit more filler than a guy like Richaun Holmes. You might have to throw in a Buddy Hield or something like that to match with that max deal. But if you're not giving up too much, other than first-round picks, which the Kings seem to have, I would love to have DeAndre Ayton on this team. All right, guys, we got our
Who would you rather, real quick, who would you rather, Ben Simmons or DeAndre Ayton?
Oh, man, it depends on the asking price. It really does. It really does. I feel like DeAndre Ayton doesn't really fill a need for this team.
Yeah.
Since we already have Richaun Holmes. Yeah. Versus the Kings
Is it an upgrade from Richaun Holmes?
It is an upgrade. The Kings need to figure out who their four is. And that's where I like Ben Simmons. Because I like Ben Simmons playing the four. And it's funny, watching the game tonight, I remember DeAndre Ayton missed a little push shot. He needs to go to Richaun Holmes camp and learn that push shot. Yeah. So we got our background fixed. Thank you, Vinny.
Thanks for
Make sure you guys hit up Vinny in the chat. Let him know. Make sure you hit that like button. We're having a great time. We're drinking beers. I'm drinking beers. Calvin's hungover.
I'm taking the day.
And we are celebrating another Kings victory, 110-107 at the buzzer. Barnes with a hand face drains the three.
Devin Booker.
It was incredible. I thought this game was going to go to overtime.
Yeah.
And, you know, overtime, anything can happen against a team that just went to the final last year. And they seem to have the momentum going their way towards the end of the game. Barnes just did the damn thing, right?
He did.
He did.
We weren't watching in the same room, but I told you before that play, I said Harrison Barnes is about to hit this shot. I didn't think it was going to be a turnaround 32 with a hand in his face.
Yeah.
Thought it would be a little bit better shot, but he hit it.
Yeah, it was a truly incredible shot. And I know like shaking for I'm like, oh my God, adrenaline. But the Kings are 2-2, so don't panic, Kings fans. We are back. So I want to talk a little bit more about Tyrese Haliburton here. I know he's been getting a lot of shade thrown his way from the first couple games, but it seems these last 2, possibly 3 games, he's seemed to pick it up more and more every game. He's been a little bit more aggressive. You know, he only had, I think, 3 assists tonight. He had 9 assists in the last game.
Yeah.
It seems like he's finally finding his place in this starting lineup. It felt like earlier on he just wanted to get his teammates involved. Pass the ball. I don't want to take too many shots. He had 11 shots tonight. It's the 3rd most in the starting lineup. And I thought he played incredible and great defense. It was like maybe 3 or 4 instances where he jumps the passing lane, gets the ball, goes for a wide open dunk or layup. So it was great to see him finally finding his rhythm in this starting group. How are you feeling about Tyrese?
You said it perfectly. He's play the more comfortable he's feeling with this group and his new role on the team. I mean, let's be honest, they're only 4 games in, so it's going to take some time, you know, to get adjusted to the new teammates, a newer system. You know, it's probably a lot the same, but they're playing a much different lineup than they played with people than he was normally last year. So, yeah, I think as the season goes on, it's just going to continue like this. And, you know, I expect to see him somewhere around the 15.8, 9 assist range. And, you know, maybe on some nights he goes for 27. But
here I was comparing him to Sean Livingston. The more him, the more I think of Sean Livingston.
You know, really nice mid-range game. He's long and lanky for a guard. Plays the passing lanes really, really well. Nice floater. But a much better outside shooter than Sean Livingston, which we'll definitely like as Kings fans.
Yep, definitely. So I'm looking here in the chat. Adam, what is up with Fox? More turnovers than ever and only 15% from 3 so far this season. Yeah, it's tough, man. I saw him make a 3 today. I was really happy to see that. Only 2 turnovers tonight for De'Aaron Fox, so not a bad game for him. Overall, the Kings, they really cut down on those crazy passes, the Hail Mary passes. But I do have to say with De'Aaron Fox, the thing that really has been bothering me is free throw percentage.
Yep.
It was like 7 tonight.
Yep.
What was it? Did he miss 1 or both of those late in the game? He went to the line like super late. He was being aggressive.
I think
3 on the floor, I think with like 4 minutes left. De'Aaron Fox drives to the basket. Only makes 1. You got to make those, especially towards the end of the game when a team's coming back on you. The aggressiveness, I loved him going for the basket. And, you know, late whistle. I thought the referees were even going to call that foul.
Yeah.
But you got the free throws, man. You got to make them. That's why they call them free throws, right?
Right.
They're free.
They're free. You're absolutely right. Free throws have been the most disappointing thing, I would say. I mean, yeah, he's so good at getting to the basket that if he can hit 8 out of 10 free throws a game, that makes up. So
then he's going to get more wide too.
But I'm sure he's more frustrated than any of You know, he obviously wants to be playing better. And, you know, it's something that he would probably never admit to, but perhaps all the pressure that's been building on him specifically over the past couple of years, you know, even if you feel like it's affecting you that much, it is more and more every year as he continues to get better. The Kings are expected to do better and make a play more and more every year. So maybe that is getting to him a little bit, not mentally, but when he's on the court, he's just trying so damn hard that it's taking his normal relaxed feel for the game away a little bit. He's kind of narrowing in on I've got, you know. So,
and you know who shot better?
I think he will break out of it later though.
Better from free throw than him tonight? JaVale McGee.
Everybody, yeah.
Just looking here at the starting lineup, Harrison Barnes, 0 free throws. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, not good.
Mo Harkless, I'd love to see more from him. You know, I know he's been Luke Walton's guy, but 2 points over, you know, he made one layup. That was pretty shit.
Yeah.
No free throws for him. Only 1 free throw for Tyrese Haliburton. Only 2 free throws for Holmes.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see all these guys being more aggressive towards the basket. But as we talked about last time, this team seems to be a 3-point shooting team that runs up and down the floor. They play great in the full court offense, half court offense. They kind of get stagnant. I know when I was watching, I was yelling at the TV, and I was like, "Why are you guys not moving? Move.
Yeah.
Why is only the person with the ball moving? One screener moving."
Yep.
But I saw maybe 2 cuts to the basket tonight that ended up in layups. They were great players, doing that way more often.
Yes, and they can do that. We saw them do it tonight in the second half. It's part of the reason why they started hitting all those shots. They got into a rhythm and a flow offensively because they were moving as a team, all 5 guys. Your point about Maurice Harkless is a really good one. I think that his ineffectiveness on offense is a direct result of them being stagnant offensively and one guy going one-on-one. His role, or where he's best effective, is in the corner, hitting that corner 3, and they get that when as a unit, you know, there's some penetration, pick and roll, something like that, and guys are cutting and they have to help, and that leaves Maurice Harkless open in the corner. He hits a lot of those open threes. Tonight he had a guy right in his face time because they're going one-on-one until the shot clock winds down and they have to dump it.
And I saw him get burned a couple times tonight on defense too. Yeah. So what are you out for?
Right.
Are you just you're just out there? Hold on one second, guys. We'll be right back. I got to go refill my beer. All right, we're back. Sorry, guys. I was running a little bit low here. I had to refresh the beverage. Okay, so, yeah, we were talking about Mo Harkless. I'm going to switch gears here, and I want to talk a little bit more about Buddy Hield. We talked about this tonight, 7 3-pointers, single-handedly brought them back in the game. I'm thinking, where is the offense on this team? If it wasn't for Buddy Hield hitting threes, if it wasn't for Harrison Barnes hitting threes, who's scoring on this team? Marvin Bagley's good for, 15 points a game. He hasn't been playing. De'Aaron Fox has not been playing really well offensively. Tyrese Haliburton's right around that 10 to 12 range. And then we saw a huge game from Davion Mitchell that the Kings end up losing because nobody else on the team could make a shot. So it makes me a little bit concerned here. And it's funny that I say this because I feel like for the past 10 years, the Kings have been great at offense and they just haven't been good at defense. And, they held the Suns to 107 points tonight.
Yep.
But they're not getting shots they want. They're not moving on offense and getting open. So how are you feeling about Buddy Hield? And do you feel like he is a necessity on this team now because he has the offense that they need? And then that's a slippery slope too because he's a streaky shooter. So we're just going to lose every game he doesn't make 7 threes or?
Yeah, it's a very slippery slope. Do I think he's a necessity on this team? No, I don't. It certainly depends on what you're going to get to replace him. You know, it would be losing a significant amount of offense if you didn't get somebody that couldn't score in return, because he is going to have these nights where he is he led the team, just lead the bench in points. He led the whole team. So, but like you said, he is really streaky, and where's the offense going to come from? I feel like Buddy Hield's not a necessity for offense on this team, because if they would just play offense in the half court rather than just give the ball to one of these guys and let them go one-on-one, that would solve a lot of their problems. It would get other guys on the team better looks from the outside that they'll hit more consistently, which helps make up for the threes that you would have gotten if Buddy was on the team or if he's playing big minutes or something like that. So that's where we should be starting at the first, before we worry about should Buddy Hield be on the team.
4 turnovers for him tonight, only 1 assist.
Yeah, that's the big for me.
We talked about he turned the ball over. I hate to see that because I'm thinking to myself, there's 3 minutes left. The Kings are up 10. Why the hell is Buddy Hield on the court?
Yeah.
Why? He's not a playmaker.
Well, it's because he was hot tonight. I mean, you know.
But he's not a defender.
Guy goes 7 for 11 from 3, and he hits a ton in one quarter. I think most coaches would make the decision to leave him in. 10's not a huge lead in the NBA.
That's true. But he's got to be open and shooting.
Yeah.
He can't be making his own plays, especially late in the game. And you're playing against a guy like Chris Paul, who's a great defensive player, great towards the end of the games. Suns could finish. They did, but they didn't.
And that's the thing with Buddy Hield, is he gives you just enough to where you have to look at him and say, I can't afford not to play this guy, because he does 7 threes or 8 threes or 10 threes sometimes. And then even when he's putting the ball on the floor, you know, he had some terrible turnovers tonight, but he also had that great fast break where he did the spin the free throw lane and found Rashawn Holmes for a wide open dunk in transition. That was great. See that, like, oh man, this is really great. Can you just play like that all the time? Be one of the best players in the league. But we talked about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's really the same thing with Buddy Hield.
That's Buddy Hield. So I was watching 107-107. Kings have the ball, 3 seconds left. De'Aaron Fox drives to the basket. Suns fouled, which is a smart play.
Smart play.
So then the Kings have 1 second left. I see Buddy Hield coming around the screen, and he's open. And I'm thinking to myself, don't pass him the ball. And I don't know why. Probably just because he just turned the ball over.
Yeah.
And they end up passing it to Harrison Barnes, and he makes a 3, and the rest is history.
Hey, Harrison was taking that shot 100% of the way.
Yes. But why should Buddy Hield not take that shot? 7 of 11 from 3. We've seen him hit game winners in the past. And if you were to choose anybody on the Kings team to take that shot, is it Harrison Barnes?
I think it is. I mean, he's proved it. You know, Buddy Hield's hit some game winners also, but Harrison Barnes has that 3 against Cleveland last year, and then this big shot here. With how well he's shooting the ball also, I have absolutely no issues with him taking the shot. He's been the best player on this team, the silent leader for them. If I was in the huddle, I would have drawn up a play for him, for sure.
Yep, I totally agree. So this week I saw an article talking about Buddy Hield, and it was a quote from an anonymous executive around the league. And he said, Buddy Hield's already gone. He's definitely going to be traded for the deadline. Had a deal in place. It fell apart, but the Kings' mindset is the same. Buddy Hield does not belong on this team, and he will be traded by the deadline. How do you feel about that? Do you think trust or believe in? And what do you think the Kings could potentially get back for possibly a six-man of the year candidate?
Well, get back. And I, I don't know. I'd have to wait and see what the proposed deals were worth. I think he is a good enough that probably going to have something reasonable to offer in return for him. And, is it possible that he gets traded? Yeah, absolutely. They already were going to do it once, so I certainly wouldn't be surprised. Woke up a week or a month and he was traded.
How would that be if he got traded to Washington for Kyle Kuzma?
Trez Harrell.
I see Rich and Ryan here about Buddy and Bagley need to go. Let us know in the chat how you guys feel about that. I mean, honestly, know you guys want. Who do you think they'll get traded to? What do you want for them in return? And why do you think Bagley's not playing? Is that Cal?
Well, yeah, I don't know why he's not playing.
Second straight game.
I keep expecting to see him come off the bench, especially when they're or when they're down by 10 or something like that. If anything, you just maybe throw him out there to see if he somehow gives you a spark, maybe hit corner threes in a row or something like that. They've really apparently moved on from him. He's only played 10 minutes the entire season. So
yeah, that's really incredible. All I can think about is that they're going to trade him and they just don't want him to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they've had a deal in the past, or potentially had interest in the past, and he ends up getting injured like right before the trade deadline and then doesn't get traded. I don't see any other reason why you're paying this guy $11 million to sit on the bench, and they're not even showcasing him to trade him.
But when you think about it, they're playing one big man off their bench every night, whether it's Tristan Thompson or Alex Len. I mean, that's pretty much all it's been so far. All these other guys are just not getting in the game at all. We haven't seen Metu really at all. Davion Jones played for a very short amount of time, a couple minutes at the most. So it's not just that Marvin Bagley's not playing and all the other guys are getting out there. They're limiting it to Maurice Harkless is the biggest four we're going to go with.
Yeah, and that brings up another subject that I did want to talk about. But before, I want to welcome everybody that's just joined in here. Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast live post-game. The Sacramento Kings defeat the Phoenix Suns tonight, 110-107. Calvin, Barry, big Kings fans. We love to talk about the Kings. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you're a Kings fan. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. So I want to talk about the rotations. I've been talking to people in the comments of the past couple of videos. People are talking about rotations and who they like and who they don't like. And it just makes me think, like, why is Luke playing such a short rotation? It's like he's pretending like this is the playoffs or something like that. But I feel like there's all these guys on this team that have talent, that have potential, that could help this team, and they're sitting on the bench. And I'm not just talking about a guy like Bagley. I'm talking about Davion Jones, talking about Metu. These are some good players that made the squad. And, we talk about the team falling apart late in the game, maybe due to players being tired or conditioning, stuff like that. So why wouldn't Luke open up the rotation a little bit and let some of these other guys play?
Well, my guess is that it's probably because of two reasons. Number one, we know for a fact how much of a drop-off there is when Richaun Holmes isn't out there. Doesn't matter who they have replacing him. There's a big drop-off. They start letting up more offensive rebounds. Richaun Holmes is averaging how many blocks a game? 2.3 blocks a game right now. So he's being that anchor defensively and tied for them. And he's a guy that they can really use in the pick and roll and throw the ball to. not just off a lob. You know, you can get him the ball at the free throw line extended, and he's going to hit that push shot almost every time, and he hits his free throws. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why, especially at the forward and center position, you're seeing a much shorter rotation. But it's probably also due to the fact that you really want to get Davion Mitchell integrated big time into this offense, and more importantly on defense. You want him playing a lot of minutes. Tyrese is kind of getting more minutes as well. I think they want to get him as comfortable as he is in this new starting role where he has to shoulder more of the load offensively. And then you don't want to take too many minutes away from De'Aaron Fox. I know he's struggled so far, but he's supposed to be your best player. You want him out there. So especially the fact that they have a heavy lineup.
Yep.
I think that, and Luke said it, Coach Walton said it before the season started. He said, we've got 12 or 13 guys on this team that we like playing, but we're probably only going to play 8 or 9. And I think that's why.
Yeah, I think it's too early for that. I think that he needs to open up the rotation a little bit. I think you're just going to piss guys off, and especially when you're losing games. I know 2-2 is good, but it's not 4-0.
Yeah.
And I feel like we would have had a better chance in those other 2 games if he would have opened it up, put Damian Jones, some of these other guys out there.
Well, and the other side to that argument is they were not just in, but leading by a lot, actually, in those 2 losses. You know, the Jazz, they weren't up big, but they had a lead for a majority of the game, or a lot of the game. So they were in a position to win both of those by playing this lineup that they've played. So,
yep. So I want to talk a little bit about Davion Mitchell. I know you look at the box score, it's not overwhelming. 19 minutes, 5 points tonight, 0 blocks, 0 steals. But I think he had an impact on this game. We keep talking about there's things that he does that don't show up in the box score. That's why he's not going to be in the Rookie of the Year talk. You know, that's why he's not going to be recognized for individual performance, but it's going to help the team. But we've been hearing about guys raving about him and his defense. And it's not always, when you're a great defender, it's not always about your guy or what you're doing. It's you're picking up for other people's inefficiencies. So, you know, we saw what happened to Cliff Paul. He had an off night.
Yep.
So how are you feeling about Davion, and what do you feel like his real impact was tonight on this game?
Well, honestly, I thought this was his worst game so far. And I don't think he played bad by any means. He still, like you said, had an impact on the game. He's always going to have some sort of impact on the game because of how hard he plays defensively. But I just felt like he didn't have as much of an impact defensively that he's had in these other 3 games. I mean, we've seen some really great defensive plays on guys like Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard and stuff like that, CJ McCollum a little bit in these other games, and it really stood out. It like jumped off the screen, you know. I didn't see any of those plays necessarily from him tonight. And he didn't really shoot that well either. I mean, he only took 7 shots, but he didn't really shoot that well. So that being said, I'm still really, really high on Davion Mitchell. I don't see how you can't be. It's been a pretty rough first week for him, too.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit tired.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to go home and get in the hot tub or put the compression
Mike
leg
Conley,
sleeves
Steph
on.
Curry, Chris Paul.
Rest and relaxation and come back ready for another tough week.
Yeah. It's definitely welcome to the NBA.
Yeah.
And, you know, tonight watching the game, I was like, wow, the Suns are forcing Davion Mitchell to guard Devin Booker. They kept running that little switch play, and then Devin Booker, he's a big guard. So he's turning around, he's just shooting over. I saw him hit one in his face, then I saw him miss a couple. So
Devin Booker, just like Kobe, who was his idol and mentor, is really, really good at playing with his back to the basket.
Yep.
And when you've got a small guy on you, even though he's a tenacious defender, that's how you kind of neutralize that, is you just put your back to him and, like you said, turn and fade over him. Davion's never going to block that shot. So,
yep. Yeah, that's I guess the problem with being smaller in basketball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about the Kings' upcoming schedule. They play the Pelicans on Friday. Pelicans are 1-4. Right?
Yes, struggling.
Williamson, Brandon Ingram's been playing well. They lost Drew Holiday. They lost Lonzo Ball. So this is a much different Pelicans team than we've seen over the past couple years. And the Kings actually have 2 games against them within the next week because they play them next Wednesday after the Mavericks and the Jazz game. So how are you feeling about this game? I know the win tonight probably gives you some optimism. If the Kings would have lost this game tonight, I would have been dreading the next game.
Yeah.
But 2-2.
We would have been in trouble.
On our way to New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
I circled this game on my calendar because I knew that this is one of the teams the Kings are battling for that 8, 9, 10 spot. So how are you feeling about this game? And what do you think are your keys for the Kings to win this basketball game?
Well, how am I feeling about this game? This is a game that the Kings need to have. If you're going to be taking the next steps, making the playoffs, win these games that you should win. And this is a game that they should win. Like you said, no Zion Williamson. The Pelicans are struggling right now. This is a game that the Kings need to go out and get. And what do they got to do? What are the keys? They have to limit the rebounds. They can't get out rebounded big like they did tonight. Valanciunas is a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great rebounder. You're really going to have to work hard, probably send 2 guys at him. Do
you think we're
Rashawn
going to see
Holmes will have
Metu?
his handful.
You think we're going to see Metu going at Valanciunas after the broken wrist last year?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't really seen Metu at all. So if I was a betting man, I would probably say no. We won't see him. But that's why you can lose a lot of money placing bets like that. Because you could very easily be wrong.
I wish I got paid $11 million to sit on the bench.
Yeah, that would be pretty
Marvin's
nice.
got it made.
Pretty nice.
Honestly. I know for him, he's probably disappointed. But could you imagine $11 million to practice with the team, to sit in the best spot, courtside,
a different world
on the bench?
That's different world.
That's pretty amazing.
But back to the keys to the game. So definitely they got to focus on the rebounds. They got to try to limit in the rebounding battle, or at least not get out rebounded by 15 or 20. And then offensively, they got to move the ball and get these good open looks from 3, because when they hit their threes, they're very difficult to beat. But as we've seen, when they aren't hitting from the outside, their offense kind of just one-on-one, trying to get to the basket and draw a foul. And they need to avoid that, because that's when they go into these huge scoring slumps. Brandon Ingram can get hot, and they could lose the game very easily that way.
Yeah, Richard says, we got to watch some tape from the 2001 season and team ball movement. And I totally agree. There's too many times I'm watching, I see stack, I see guys just sitting in the corner. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes you need 1 or 2 guys to be in the corner to pull the big man out of the center. But you can't have 4, 3 guys stagnant. We need ball movement. We need guys cutting to the basket.
Yeah.
That's how you get easy
James Harden
buckets.
is not on. This is a phenomenal one-on-one player, and he can get by people, just about any time he wants. But it doesn't work the same way. You're not having the entire defense collapse in on him every time, because they're throwing one guy at him and making it a difficult shot at the rim, and he hasn't really finished that well so far.
Yep, totally. I think it's time to talk about De'Aaron Fox. But before we do that, I'm going to show you guys some highlights from the game here. It's a short highlight clip, but it's a lot of fun. And you see HB's game winner there in the back.
Oh, yeah, we could watch that all night.
So, De'Aaron Fox, I know he's been criticized by Kings fans the past few games after having a phenomenal first game.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen all the calls, Fox, bench Fox, he's not the future, you can't win with a guy like this. I've seen them all. And it reignites, I guess, some rumors and stuff like that, which we don't even know where Ben Simmons is now. Since the mental health issues came out, we do not hear about him anymore. But De'Aaron Fox, 37 minutes tonight, 18 points, 7 of 20, which is not the greatest. 3. We talked about the struggles from free throw range. But, only 2 turnovers tonight, 9 assists. He definitely was active, engaged. I know he's been having some injury issues. We saw him get hit in the shoulder against the Jazz. I guess he also tweaked that same shoulder in the years. I saw him come up hobbling tonight's game. It looked like a knee problem. So he's definitely getting beaten up, but he seems to be more engaged. We saw him drive to the basket late in the game, being more aggressive.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about Fox? And what needs to happen to get the real Fox back?
He's really not that far off. No, he hasn't played anywhere near as well as to, but he's really not that far away from being the Fox that we all expect him to be. He's still averaging 19 points a game, which is a lot, it's lower than what he was last year, but it's still 19 a game, even though he's shooting so poorly. He's getting all the time. I just think he's forcing it a little bit. But he, like you said earlier, he cut the turnovers down big time tonight, and he had 9 assists today. So he's still playing well. He's playing well in moments, and I think he's really, really close. He just needs to get a few more shots to go, get a little bit more confidence, and he needs to stop. That it's not just a him problem. The team offensively has to be moving more. They can't just rely on him to get to the basket and try to get up or get to the foul line, because he is, I think, forcing the issue a little bit, trying to look foul too much rather than maybe using a jump shot or a floater or that turn fadeaway that we know he does, and he hits with a lot of consistency. So I think being a little bit smarter in the shot selection that he's taking. And hopefully he can start hitting some outside shots, because that would really open things up for him, and he'd probably get a lot more easy looks at the basket that way too.
Yeah, I still saw a bunch of shots tonight that were short. He keeps shooting short. But it just made me think a little bit about Tyrese Haliburton being in the starting lineup now, and Tyrese has seemed to be, I know tonight was a little bit different with 9 assists by Fox, but Tyrese role. He's been the guy passing the ball. He's been making the plays. Do you think effect on De'Aaron Fox not being the primary ball handler, not having the ball in his hands throughout the game, maybe that's putting him out of rhythm?
Maybe a little. It's hard to tell without being at practice every day or being around the guys every day. But overall, I probably say he's still got the ball in his hands a really good amount of the time. It's maybe a little bit less than he's used to. It's not like Tyrese. He has more of a role, a bigger role playing the primary ball handler or playmaker this year than last year, but they used him a lot in that role last year. Well, he still had games where he played well over 30 minutes, and shared the court with De'Aaron Fox a lot. So I think that's really too much in the way. I think he's just had a really rough time shooting so far, and he's frustrated that he's not getting to the foul line more, probably frustrated that he's not free throws.
Yep.
And that probably is having more of an effect on his game than anything else, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I expect the real De'Aaron Fox, as everyone says, to be back very soon. But, I think he's trying.
Yeah, I mean.
And he's playing his game.
Anybody that wants to trade De'Aaron Fox after these 4 games, I'm probably not going to want to have a conversation with you, because it's utter ludicrous to me.
It's early. It's way too early. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. Questions from the fans. You guys, we'd love to interact with you, talk with you, and answer any questions. So make sure you guys hit them all up in the chat, and we'll be back.
just bought a new whip. Spend a couple thousand just to cruise it. Shawty said she love me, but I swear she'll never prove it. I never tell her, but I put it in the music. Well, that's okay. All I wanna do is make the best of my whole day. Thank the Lord up above, get the cream on the side, make you laugh to no end. That's the stuff that I love, la da da da. We can be friends if you wanna. We could just talk if you wanna. We could hold hands if you wanna. Hey, tell me what you wanna do. We could just laugh if you wanna. Late nights on the stars if you wanna. We could just kiss if you wanna. Hey, tell me what you wanna do. It's like the story of my life. Best friends, but we rocking all the same thing. Say you need, but you really tryna change lanes. Well, I don't even care. In my life, I don't battle with no fear.
All right, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast, live with Calvin and Barry. We are breaking down the Kings win 110-107 over the Phoenix Suns tonight, capped off by a game winner by yours truly, Harrison Barnes. Three-pointer in your face, Devin Booker, right?
Yep, I feel like we got to ring the cowbell for that one. In your face.
All right, before we answer some questions from the fans, I want to remind you all that the Royal Report comes out this Friday. This is season 2 by your Sacramento Kings. We take questions from the fans. We discuss all topics and all hot topics around Sacramento Kings, so make sure you guys tune in for that. We will also see you Friday night after the Pelicans game live here on the Royal Rebounds Podcast. So make sure you guys tune in. If you are a Kings fan, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you'd like to join the Royal family, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, Calvin. So looking through here in the chat, we have some active people. Wow, Ryan and Richard are very active. We got Lane in here, 209 Kings, Neil Webb, Fred Gonzalez, Joseph Armstrong, Fred Gonzalez, Joseph Armstrong.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Makami, Efren Juarez. All right. And Buddha Morris is back. Fox got to close out the game stronger. We needed one shot to stop the bleeding and couldn't get it. Let's see here. Lane, Buddha, Makami. Holmes is legit. Oh, this person's liking for the crown shot for Calvin. Makami loves watching Alex Len. Big game from Alex Len tonight. 2 threes, huge off the bench. I was looking at the stats this season. Alex Len is pretty underrated. You know, he got drafted number 5 overall by the Phoenix Suns in 2013. So, big play for him tonight. 209 King says crown shot. Wow, Calvin, we spoiled him, I think. Richard said Buddy needs to go already. All right, Adam, what is up with Fox? More turnovers than ever. Yeah, guys, it's tough being a Kings fan sometimes, you know, but we're trying our best. So are these players. All right, Ryan, Harrison Barnes is from the Vlade tenure too. Somebody's saying we need to get rid of everybody from the Vlade tenure. How do you feel about that?
Well, I definitely don't want to give up Harrison Barnes, that's for sure. Not right now.
That's funny. Harrison Barnes has been playing great. He's been playing really, really good. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We want to thank you all for joining us for another Royal Rebounds Podcast Live. We had a lot of fun tonight watching the Kings game, doing this post game. It was truly incredible. Harrison Barnes is the man of the evening. Let's ring that cowbell one more time for him.
HB.
Remind you all to join us for the Royal Report on Friday. We'll also be live after the Jazz game. We'll see you guys next time. And in the meantime, go Kings.
Go Kings.